Okay everyone, I just wanted to sit down today. I know some of you guys on occasion ask me how to make flyers through Photoshop. Just wanted to go through today and kind of make a quick flyer with Photoshop and just film it for you guys so you guys can watch it back. Making a basic flyer is pretty easy. The program I use is Photoshop Elements. So it's not the full version of Photoshop, which can get pretty pricey, but Photoshop Elements should run anywhere from 75 bucks up to 100 bucks. Sometimes you can find it cheaper than that, but it's just a basic download, or you can go to Best Buy and pick it up and install it that way. But Photoshop Elements is what I use. So that's Premiere. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna open it up, so it's gonna pop up to the screen here. I'm gonna go ahead and hide that. So you're gonna wanna go into Photo Editor. Then that's gonna bring up probably one of your old slides. So when you open it up, this is gonna be what you're looking at. What I do to start with, I go to File and New, do a blank file. So typically I make all my flyers basically the letter size. So if I want it to be portrait, I go 8.5 wide with a 11-inch height. And if you want it to be landscape, you just go 11 inches wide and 8.5 tall. So that's gonna make it, that's just basically gonna be your piece of paper, so you can print it out at dealers, you can email it to dealers, they can print it off, that sort of thing. And then the other one that you do, you can look into the Facebook banners and what their sizes are, but a lot of the Instagram ones, it's a perfect square. So I usually go 8.5 by 8.5, and then that's your Instagram post there. So again, I'm gonna delete that one, and I'm gonna make one that is portrait. So I'm gonna go 8.5 wide by 11 inches tall. And then you have your blank page here, and then you're gonna have your layers over here. And this, you'll be messing around over here a little bit, and then you're gonna be with your pointer tool and your eraser tool, text, that sort of thing. So you can bring photos in, and you just go up to File and then Place. And then you just kind of go where your pictures are. I've got a file full of our logos, other logos. Let's find a Fly Racing logo and black. So put that there. You can shrink it down. Down here you can keep your proportions even, so it doesn't get all distorted. Keeps the same size. And then you can just set that up there and click OK. Now you can see over here that you have a layer there. Now let's say we want to add an action shot or an action picture to that. Do the same thing. Go back in, find your folder where you've put all your shots. Looks like, okay, so I got, just pull this one to Weston Pike. So we've placed that, and now you can see that it's added it over here as well in your layers. And you can grab this, make it bigger, move it around on the page, that sort of thing, and then you're ready to go. And as you can see, whatever is on top is going to be seen. So if I move this layer below Weston Pike's picture, it disappears because Weston Pike is above it. So everything that you want to see layered on top is going to be prominent in the photo. And let's say that we want to add some text. What I usually do, by no means am I a professional, these are just some of the things I've learned. So you have your eraser tool. You're going to want to go, and if you're doing this on a PC, you right click. If you're on a Mac, you're going to want to hit Control and click. And you're going to want to simplify the layer. That allows you to edit it further. So now I've got my eraser tool, and I've got it on brush. So I can kind of take these edges and just kind of fade them out. I can fade out the top. I can kind of taper this off to give me some space to put some text in there. So I can move that around, and now I can go back to my pointer tool and I can click on that and I can move him around. So let's say I want to put him there. So now I've got Weston there. I'm just going to try to do this quick. This isn't going to be a finished product that I'm going to spend a lot of time on. I just wanted to make this super quick. So let's say we want to add some text. So right now we have a map relief of 10%. So I usually use impact font. I don't really get crazy. I just want something that looks just kind of professional. So we go 10% off. Now, the text by itself just kind of doesn't really have much to it. I'm actually going to make that a little bigger. I'm going to go and make that 125. So you can see it better. And now to kind of add some depth to this text, we're going to go, same thing if you're on a PC, right click on this or hold the control button on a Mac, and you're going to edit layer style. So what I do with black text over white is I give it a drop shadow, bring that up, and then you move the distance. So you can kind of see how that kind of gives it a drop shadow, but it's straight 90 degrees. So we want to move that to the side. Then we want to soften it up a little bit. Then also to make it pop, we want to give it an outline, and in here they call it stroke. And then we change that outline to white. And then we'll bump that up to maybe a 5. And then we're going to adjust the distance. And you can just kind of play around with your distance. You can make it farther away if you want. And then your size kind of just blurs it out. So you can do that. Just whatever you think looks good. So I'm going to go about this much on the blur. And I'm going to leave it at that. So that's kind of how I adjust my text to make it look a little bit more professional on there. So we can run that there. And then lastly, just for the quick flyer, I'm going to go back to place, and I'm going to find, maybe we'll put a WPS logo. So now I entered it, but you can't really see it. But what it's done is it's added it over here below all my layers. So I'm going to go ahead and check that off, and then I'm going to move it up. So now it's going to pop up here. I'm glad I did this too, because I can show you guys, if you're pulling in JPEGs and they're not fully transparent, I'm going to show you real quick. When you're going to go here, control click, simplify this layer again, and you're going to go to, I call this the magic wand. So the magic wand picks a color, and make sure I'm on the right one there. It allows you to delete that. So we don't want all these little white edges on this logo. I'm going to get rid of those. Now if I had pulled in this was probably a JPEG. If I had pulled in a logo that was a .png, this was probably already done, so you wouldn't have to do that. So a lot of times if I'm searching for logos, I search for a .png versus anything like a JPEG. So we got WPS there. We're going to shrink this down a little bit. And as you can see, my 10% off is below Weston's. So as I move it up, it's kind of going behind his logo. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to click check, and I'm going to go above. So now it's fully visible. It's a layer up. Then the other thing is we can take and we can place, I have to just look for it. Thompson's logo, and again, it put it behind Weston, so I'm going to bring it, and we can just set it down here, resize it, put that there. Again, I would probably tweak on this one a little bit more, but that'll get you guys at least started on Photoshop. I know this has been a pretty quick tutorial. You guys all have my email, so if you want to email me any questions you have, if you're having any problems with it, just let me know. And again, I use Photoshop Elements. I'm using the 2019 version. I think when I searched it, there's a 2020 version out, but this one will be plenty good enough for just doing simple dealer videos. And then lastly, once you get this all done, you go up to File and just Save As. And you can pick, I usually export as a JPEG. I'm gonna put it on the desktop as test. And then for most Facebook printout, stuff like that, you don't want it too big. I usually resize this down to where it's only about 1 megabyte. So it's easy to email, dealers can open it. It still prints clear enough, and then especially if a dealer just posts it on Facebook, the resolution's fine for that. So I'll bump that down so we're not taking up too much space when we're trying to email. But click OK there. Then we can go out, double click on it, and there's our finished product right there. So quick how-to. I know we can get way more in depth, but I think for some of you guys that are wanting to try to learn, this will get you at least started, and then you can kind of build off of that. There's probably plenty of other YouTube tutorials on how to work this, but this is kind of how I start with building my flyers.